Having a YouTube festival today. We just finished talking about the article we wrote about the 2023 season in review. Please take a chance to watch that video. I will embed both that video in the article for the 2023 season and this video into this article for the 2024 season. And shortly after I get this done, and then we also I want to remind my Patreons that are watching the video, we have our Patreon chat tonight. Please check that out on the Patreon site. You will have two links. You can either come here on the restream side and join me in the room, or you can join in on the YouTube side. If we get so many, we'll have to do some sort of like a rolling joining on the restream side. But that's that's what we're going to be doing today, guys. And I will say, let me give quick promos for the site and for the things I do. If you're watching, if you're watching this on YouTube, I would ask that you please like the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel on YouTube, please do so. It really does help the algorithm. And also comment on the video there. And then if you haven't been subscribed to the website, I just approved 2 subscribers to the website. If you haven't joined subscribed to the website, please do so there. That way you can comment on the articles on the website. Please feel free to do that. And then, guys, like I said, the really the best and the most impactful thing for me personally is for you to join the Patreon group, $5 a month, and you can help support the site, help us get the articles out, and also maybe get into a position of doing some publicity for the site. And also, guys, I'll say this: like the opportunity we have this evening, you'll be able to join in the fun with that. All right, so let's talk about the 2024 season. I want to set the table because I want to help folks understand where we've been and what we're doing. So you guys notice the offseason outline, critical link there. Follow that link. You'll see kind of like what articles lie ahead relative to the offseason, and we will be following pretty much the calendar. So there's a lot of content coming out in the next 5 days because there's 5 things that happen in the first 5 days of the off season, and we're already on day 2 of that. So just be ready. More and more content coming from Larry to GM. Now, I've written I've written multiple articles, but there's 3 articles you really want to put together. We wrote the 2023 article. That's the video I just completed that described how well each of the teams in the MLB did at delivering the WAR, that they were delivering wins to the WAR that was projected for them before the season started, including the Astros. Then I also updated the articles relative to the payroll. So that 2023 season article essentially grounds you to where we've been, what were the challenges of 2023 season, how much. Then the payroll article explains how much money we can really realistically expect the Astros to spend, because if you don't really understand the financial situation until you read that article. Now, I suspect that based on comments from Dana Brown yesterday, that the Astros are not going to re-sign Neris. So I may make a slight adjustment into that article, but are not going to pick up the option, or Neris is not going to pick up the option because he's already talking about Neris isn't there, going to be there. So that helps a little bit, but the Astros are really, really close to being over to CBT, and you need to understand that when we look forward, because we're about to talk about the 24th season, and I'm going to give you the first look at this team, and people are going to tell you and suggest that the Astros are going to sign multiple $20 million plus free agents. And guys, if you understand, number one, the 23 season, and understand the payroll and understand what I'm about to tell you, that doesn't make any sense, and it's not going to happen. And so now we set the groundwork. Let's get into the 2024 season. We're going to do this the way I do most of these things, and we're going to look at the projected wars for this. And the reason the 23 article is so important for you to read before this, you'll understand the story of how the projected war translates into wins and how well it did for the Astros and how well it didn't for some of the other teams, or some other teams exceeded their war projected wins and other teams failed miserably at doing that. So, but for the Astros, they were pretty much on target. So, what we're going to do here for the 2024 season, we're going to look at the current heat map. We're going to understand the strengths of that heat map, and we're going to make some statements that are startling relative to the weaknesses. And then we're going to compare the current 2024 projections with the 2023 projections, and then we're going to project. We're going to project playing. We're going to take the Fangraphs projections for playing time, and then we're going to make some adjustments to that, and I'll show you what those are, and then from that, we'll identify some opportunities and some needs. So this is the path we're going to go down, and it'll be fun. So let's look at the current heat map. This is the heat map from the data that you get from Fangraphs, and I have to give Fangraphs a lot of credit. And I'm going to put the paragraph I have in the 23 article in here. Yeah, I need to do that because all this data comes from Fangraphs, and they need to be credited for it. So here's the startling thing when you just glance at this map. Notice where the Astros are. The Astros are second in projected WAR in the 2024 season. Now, some of you guys already know basically why that is because the Astros don't have a lot of huge, impactful free agents leaving the team. The Rangers, on the other hand, do have a lot of free agents leaving their team, but I expect that they're going to re-sign players to fill those gaps. So just understand that. Just because you're lower on this heat map today doesn't necessarily mean you aren't going to sign the free agents to move up the heat map. That's what we're going to monitor at least once a month, maybe a couple times a month as the season goes. We're going to look at this heat map multiple times as off season. But as of today, the Astros are second on this chart. And that projected WAR number is really high, guys, 50.6. What's even more startling if you look at this map, so the strengths are is look at all the red. This is what's really stunning. When you look at this line, everything is red. Red is good, except a stark white cell, or maybe it's got a little pink tinge in it, in the first base column. The number really to consider is this ranking number down at the bottom. Okay, so the Astros rank, the lowest rank for the Astros is 12th. I mean, it's 15th on here, and that's at first base. The rank 13th in shortstop, 12th in catcher. Now, if you just watch the 23 video, you know that these two numbers at the beginning of last year, or at the end of last year, the actual numbers were 25th and 25th. And the catcher position going into the season was like 28th or 29th. I don't remember which it was. What's the strength of this team is there is no position that's a glaring weakness for the Astros. That's why that number of 50.6 is so high. Is because they don't have a black hole of WAR in any single position. Now, they're projecting Jose Abreu to be better than he was in 2023, and I think that's probably a fair projection. But look at these other numbers. They're first and second base, second and third base, fifth and left field, fourth and center field, third and right field, first in DH. And we're going to get into some of those numbers as to how wild some of those things are. Now, starting pitching is fifth, relief pitching is ninth. That already tells you something relative to maybe somewhere where they need to make an investment, right? They may need to make an investment here in the catching position and the relief pitching position. And I would say they might want to look at a starting pitcher too. And we'll talk about why that is. But overall, second in WAR. Um, let's deep dive into the numbers. Let's compare. And this is going to be a little redundant. Sorry, I should have just scrolled down to comparisons. So there's where we were at the end of last season. This is the actual numbers. You see that first base 25th, catcher 25th, relief pitching 18th compared to where they rank now. Again, we really focus on the rank here, the positional rank, the relative rank of that war to the rest of the wars projected for those position, or in the second group, it's the actual war delivered in 2023. Now, I also provided you guys the data for the war before the season and the war that I had in November, same time last year, before free agents were really signed. So you see that before the season, first base was projected to be a relative strength. We had signed Jose Abreu. We were expecting great things. And here, it was 28th or 29th because it really was both. In March, catching position was 29th. The shortstop was 21st. Center field was 23rd. Relief starting pitching was 14th. Right? The overall pitching was 12th. This team in March was projected to be the seventh best war-related team, and this is why I was freaking out last year at this point. Right? We don't have that right now. Now, what really the comparison should be made to, though, is where we were at the same point last year. Okay. So, we had an issue at catcher. We knew we had an issue that we really needed to address in first base because we really had none. The war projections love Matichevich, by the way. So, this number was inflated, but the numbers they were projecting for Matichevich. Again, shortstop was a concern. Center field was a concern. Well, center field has been solved if we would just play Chas McCormick there. But last year at this time, the Astros were projected to be fifth. Now, the reason we need to watch these numbers going forward is they fell from fifth, which really wasn't that bad, down to seventh, which was problematic if we were really wanting to go win the World Series, right? So, what will the journey be through the postseason, through the offseason this year? It's probably going to be similar. I'm not sure the Astros are going to hold on to that second ranking, but they may go down to fourth, which means they probably will be in a dogfight for the LCS. That's what that would mean. Okay, that's the relative ranks in comparison. Now, notice the significant differences is that Diaz makes the catching position an above average position versus the train wreck it's been. I call it the war wasteland it's been for several years in the catching position. Abreu is projected to be better than he was, but not as good as he was projected to be. So, despite what we may think about shortstop, Pena's delivered and projected to deliver a WAR that's above average. Right? They're projected to be 13th. It's not fantastic, but it's not bad, right? You're not going to have no team, guys. I should have stopped and said this. No other team is completely white red. Every other team on this table has blue, including the Braves, who are the best, right? The Braves have blue at shortstop and they have blue at left field. Every team on this chart has blue, has a position that their relative rank is below average, except for your Houston Astros. That's why you should be excited about the 2024 season. But So Pena, right about average. Left field so good because Alvarez is significant playing time. Center field so good because of Chas McCormick. Chas McCormick's good. A lot better than we projected him to be. Starting pitcher gets a Verlander boost. And relief pitching, curiously on this table, is ranked ninth. They still have errors in this data. And like I said, this data is going to be fluid. Within 2 days, Nair's may be out of the database, and the relief pitching would fall to 12th relative rank. So, little, which is going to highlight that the Astros need to do something in relief pitching, which I think all of us already know. Okay, so the WAR difference between this time right now and 23 actual, you have the numbers there. 8.2, the WAR is 8.2 higher, 8 more wins than what would be projected. That's a lot of wins right now, right? And 2023, November 2023 compared to November 2022 would be 4.2 more wins. So somewhere, and remember, we were projecting basically 90-ish wins last year, or I think the actual number was 88. So we're projecting now the Astros to be between 92 and 98 wins. I say 94 plus or minus 3. That's exciting. Now, it's way too early to make those statements, okay? The average number is going to come up a little bit. But at the end of the day, if we're sitting here in March and I'm able to say the WAR projection table says the Astros are going to win 94 games, I will not be surprised. And it's simply because there's no weaknesses in that table. And the few weaknesses they have, we're going to cover through this article, and I think they have a good chance to address. Right? Again, it's all about the ranks. So the Astros are, and again, minus on this is good. The Astros rank on average eight better than they were last year on the actual. They were the 10th actual team in rank, and now they're projected to be the second in rank. That's 8. And they're projected at the beginning of the season to be 5th. Now they're projected to be second. Or I'm sorry, in November of last year, they're projected to be 5th, and now they're projected to be second. We're starting at a better point than we were last year at this time. I guess is another way to say that. All right. So one of the issues I have with the data in the Fangraphs, though, is that I think they don't have a complete data set for the hitting, and they actually have too many innings pitched for the pitching, and so I think they would respond like, guys, this is all fluid. You really shouldn't be doing what Larry and the GM's doing right now. Well, we will update these numbers, and we'll send a link out. Hey, the preseason articles have been updated, or we'll copy and say, hey, an update to the first look, a second look at the Astros. It's why I kind of called it the first look, because it's early. We'll probably do a second look somewhere, and then before the season starts, a final look at a preview of the 2024 Astros in March. But here's the data set, and a couple things catch my eye. Like the data set for left field and DH aren't even complete. They don't have 700 plate appearances projected here, which is what the projection systems always have. They also really, really project Altuve, Bregman, Alvarez, Tucker, and Abreu. They get an absolute ton of at bats. Same with Pena. I don't think they're going to get that many plate appearances, guys. And I think it's kind of foolish to project them that Jose Altuve at his age is not going to get 679 plate appearances when he got 410 last year. And I know he was injured. And I just think we shouldn't go into a season expecting that kind of season out of Altuve. Now you can make the argument, well, we got 724 out of Bregman this year, so why are you saying we're not going to get that many? I mean, I just not that I want it to happen, but one of these days Bregman's going to have to take some time off in the season. So let's let's not assume that he's going to get that many plate appearances. Um, and you see that where the projected plate appearances versus the 2023 plate appearances are. I give you where the WRC plus would be projected. So the projection system actually they have a WOBA in them, and they don't have the player data yet, which will have actual WRC plus. But I have an algorithm that converts WOBA into WRC plus. So basically, that's what I'm giving you here is the WRC plus algorithm, Larry DGM algorithm calculated WRC plus from the WOBA that's in the Fangraphs data. And translating that into grades, you see a really good lineup without what we don't see in this lineup is any Fs or any Ds. And there's a ton of value of having a lineup. There'd be a ton of value just having a straight C lineup. You'd be scoring average runs and probably, doing really well. But then we've got, 3 A's and 1 A plus. And there's the projected WAR that they're showing. So overall, they end up with 32 projected WAR based on this playing time. And the playing time is really important for this. So here's what I did. Number one, I believe the Astros are going to sign a free agent outfielder, as we said. Well, and you can say that Fangraphs was telling us the Astros are going to get an outfielder because they didn't fill in the playing time for left field. They're basically saying they think the Astros are going to sign a left fielder that that can DH some. I agree. That's one of the things they're looking for, right? So I went ahead and put that. And what Fangraphs also does up here is they have Cesar Salazar getting 237 plate appearances. I think there's almost no world that the Astros are going to let Cesar Salazar get 237 plate appearances at catcher. I think the world where they have Luke Berryhill get that many plate appearances is way more likely than Cesar Salazar. But I think the truth is they're going to get a free agent catcher. And what we're going to do now is we're going to define what the shopping list is. What we're going to do next is we'll start going shopping. Okay. That's what's coming. I'm identifying what the gap is, and I just made a high level projection of what that would look like. And I didn't project, a fantastic catcher here. It 80 WRC plus and 110 WRC plus outfielder. I expect that the outfielder that they get also is going to be an outfielder that probably a left-handed bat that really is a good platoon split versus right-hand pitching because that's if you look at the Astros lineup, they're really righty-centric except for Alvarez and Tucker. That's why Brantley was so good as a fit into the lineup. And so I think they're going to have an outfielder. And notice I didn't give that outfielder even as many plate appearances as Chas McCormick. Set, and this goes back to the payroll article, right? I'm level setting my expectations for the free agent outfielder I'm going to get. So just warning is when we go shopping, we're not getting the top left fielder on the market. We're not gonna be able to afford them. So that's where my table is, and you notice I cut the playing time down significantly for most of those players, and I added playing time for Mauricio Dubon based on his performance in 23. And I think Dubon's going to be covering a bunch of stuff and really get basically starter level plate appearances. Now, the Astros may go get a better other utility player than Gray Kessinger, and or that outfielder may take more plate appearances than that, which would drop what I have for Pena here. Okay, so for Dubon here, and so guys, that's my playing time distribution table. You can make your own, and you may come up with something different. When you do, the playing time impacts the WAR, and my WAR I end up with is 31.1. And it all depends, on the playing time, the distribution, how each one of those players performs along the way. But I mean, we're basing it off the projections that are in the Fangraphs right now. Now, I actually did a whole another projection system was based more century to 2023, and I was doing that before there was war projections that I could even count on for 24. But now that I have those, I'm just basing it on the Fangraphs. All right, so that's the hitting. Now let's look at the pitching because I think the pitching playing time distribution in Fangraphs is even more problematic. So they don't have any innings projected for Luis Garcia. They don't have any innings projected for uh, Lance McCullers Jr. I think both those players are going to get some innings. They have 70 innings for Neris, and I think Dana Brown basically told us yesterday that's not going to happen. They have no innings for Belak and no innings for Seth Martinez, and I think they're going to be innings. So they have put, similar to what they did with some of the key hitters, 246 innings for Justin Verlander and 256 innings for Robert Valdez and 212 innings for Javier. Now, again, they're going to say, like, you're using preliminary numbers. Don't use that. And I'm having to use that because that's what all the tables have in them, right? So don't worry. I'm going to adjust it, and I'm going to adjust it to where I think the Fangraphs numbers will go, which is what I did on the hitters too. But here's their table, and it ends up with a WAR of 18.3 and a FIP of innings allocated FIP of 4.09. And you see the relative ranks of the different players and the grades that associate with them. So they also have, so their number, if you remember, all the way back at the top was 18.6. They have Maton in that number, and I just took Maton out. I just like, that's not, I don't, now, the Astros could sign Maton. If they do, they're probably not signing theirs, and then we will adjust those things as they happen. But I'm just telling you that's the way I allocated their numbers, and they still have too many innings pitched here, so it's kind of like, okay, well, we'll fix it. So my adjustment to those numbers looks like this. I have Verlander at 150 innings pitched, way more likely. Robert at 170, which is low for him. Uh, Garcia at 110, Javier at 140, Hunter Brown at 120. Garcia at 110 is about like assuming he's good to go middle of the season. Similar for McCullers, I have 50 innings of starting and then I have 30 innings of relief. We'll talk about that more as we get into the season. Here's my other starting pitchers, including a left-handed starting pitcher I project that they're going to sign, and then the relief innings. And I said in the article, like some of these starting pitchers that we think of, like France and Belak and Blanco, they very well may have periods of time where they're in the bullpen. Like some of them did in the season, but it'll be more planned out. There's the rest of the bullpen. And at the end of the day, I'm at my 1450 number, which is what Fangraphs typically ends up with for the pitching staff, at a 17.3 WAR. So it's down 1 or 1.3 from the projections. But I'll tell you, I feel much more comfortable with this playing time distribution for the pitchers and for the hitters, and I think this is more realistic to base off of. So what does that mean? Well, if I use a 17.3 and the 31.1 that I came up with, now that WAR that was 50.6 is now 48.4. Does not change the story about the relative rank, though, right? There's still a pretty big gap between the Astros and the Rays on here, but that gap with some of these other teams, including the Rangers, is that gap is a lot smaller, or it's 2 wins smaller for them to catch up. So that 48.4 WAR embedded in that number. So I've included the free agents I expect them to get. Now, I may have to adjust playing time depending on what outfielder they get, what pitcher they get, what reliever they get, and what backup catcher they get. But that's the shopping list for the Astros this offseason. A backup catcher, that would be an upgrade over Salazar or Berryhill. And that's not Maldonado, by the way, because if you put Maldonado in here for 200 plate appearances, you're going to add a negative WAR where either one of those two, Berryhill or Salazar, are 0.5 positive WAR. A starting left-handed hitting outfielder that is strong versus right-handed pitching, a left-handed starting pitcher that can pitch at least 100 innings, and a good left-handed relief pitcher. All right, so that's my shopping list. That's embedded in the 48.4 WAR number. And so one of the warnings that they have using those preliminary numbers like we are in this first look, I think that WAR of 50.6 is a little high. And it's really because they're playing the starters on both sides too much, on hitting and pitching. And so the summary is still true though. The Astros currently projected to be the second highest WAR in the major leagues. Did you know that before today? That the 2024 Astros are projected to be the second highest WAR team next season, only behind the Braves. That's a reason to get excited. Like last year, they were fifth, and I was worried, well, that's probably going to go down because some of these other teams, like they're fourth, and maybe it goes down, but they're second now. Maybe it goes down to be about fourth, and that's still relative to being seventh in WAR ranking. Is a pretty good place to be. And if they manage the payroll, maybe it's a place you go get the right fit at the trade deadline, and you go to WAR. All right, so there's no major positional weaknesses, guys. I haven't been able to say that for. I don't know that I've ever been able to say that. So this is going to be a fun season if these projections come even close. They have 4 opportunities to pursue to get better than what is built into the 48.4 WAR. All right, so if you really want to get excited, and I kind of teased it earlier, if you really want to get excited, you put that 48.4 WAR in, you compare it to the average WAR. You know, it's really too early to quote, but that would project to be a team of 94 wins, plus or minus 3. That's what having no significant weaknesses will do to you. The rallies, whenever Maldonado would actually get a hit within the rally, you notice how they would score 3 or 4 or more runs at it. It was one of those big innings they would end up. Well, guys, if we don't have a black hole in the lineup with Abreu's Abreu again. If he is, or if you even just get the Abreu you got from May forward, which is a above average hitter, which is basically what's embedded in this. Well, let me go look. What is Abreu projected at? Yeah, 106. That was basically what he was from May 28th forward. We get that Abreu, guys, and we get no black hole. We get a good free agent outfielder. Not even a great. We're talking about good, above average. This offense could be special. Could be special. And that's what that relative WAR rank of 2 indicates. So, guys, here's what I'm going to say about the 24 for the end. I know I'm going on and on. This data, this first look, is really exciting for the 2024 season. And, get pumped up. We've got a GM that I think can manage the offseason. We run a credible offseason. We allocate the limited resources we have in a very strategic way. You guys are probably not going to be happy with any of the single signings that we have, but if they get a decent above average outfielder, get a decent backup catcher, they get a decent innings eating left-handed starting pitcher, and I think they really need to get a good the quality they need is highest probably in the bullpen. So if we get a good left-handed relief pitcher, it could be a really good season, guys. I'm just telling you right now, I am more excited today after writing this article than I was going into the 23 season, and I was at this point last year. So let's see where we go. Let's see how the season plays out. We will revisit. We'll go to a second look. We'll maybe go to a third look, and we'll go to a final look at the 2024 season. But guys, this is your Astros in 2024. Again, please like the video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the website. Please like the articles and please comment on the articles on the website. Please join the Patreon group and help us do more work for you. Guys, this has been Larry the GM. Have a great day, and let's go Astros. And for patrons, we'll see you later tonight. Take care. Bye-bye.